Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are streaming this live on Facebook as well as recording it. And we're going to go ahead and kick things off here. I do want to say if anyone has any questions that you can ask those in, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. It has two little sort of like text message looking icons. If you could put your questions there, we will answer those towards the end of the presentation, and we will happily answer any of them that come in. If there's any we don't get to, we can respond to those in email as well. I'm Amanda Stillwell. I'm going to be just kind of helping things along here this evening. I'm the Senior Manager of Digital Marketing at Equilibria, and I'm going to pass things over to Sydney to kick things off. So thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody. I am Sydney, as Amanda said. For those of you who have not attended a webinar in the past couple months, just a little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's degree in biology from Washington University in St. Louis, and I also have some experience working in the international medical cannabis market prior to coming to Equilibria. We also are joined this evening by my cat. She is currently on my lap, so if she says hi, just, think hi back. But without further ado, jumping right in here, welcome to how different CBD products work and what's right for you. So before we get really started, I did want to just quickly cover what we'll be going over today. So we're going to start with the basic. What is CBD, including where does it come from and how does it work in the body? Then we'll move along to talking about our products, what differentiates them in the marketplace, along with a brief overview of each of them, before jumping into talking about how to build your routine and set yourself up for success along your CBD journey. We'll finish it off by going over some of the resources that you have here at EQ before opening the floor for questions. And if we have some time at the end, we'll go over some FAQs as well. So getting started here, what is CBD? To fully understand that, we need to understand where CBD comes from. CBD does come from the cannabis sativa plant, which includes both hemp and THC-dominant cannabis, otherwise known as marijuana. While on a botanical level, hemp and THC-dominant cannabis are one and the same, legally there is a pretty strict distinction. In 2018, our federal government passed the Farm Bill, which then legalized any cannabis sativa with less than 0.3% THC and qualifies that as hemp, whereas THC-dominant cannabis, which is anything more than 0.3% THC, is legal on a state-by-state basis, both medically and recreationally, rather than on a federal level. Even when it comes to hemp, there are a couple different types of hemp that we can look for. Hemp is predominantly used for two different things: therapeutic purposes, like with CBD, and industrial use. So industrial hemp is generally bred to have low amounts of CBD, and that can be used for things like making fibers, fabrics, and building materials, whereas hemp bred for therapeutic purposes typically does have higher concentrations of that CBD. So CBD itself is considered a cannabinoid, and cannabinoids can largely be broken down into two primary areas: the phytocannabinoids, which are produced in plants. That is where both CBD and THC fall, along with over 100 other identified cannabinoids. A couple examples would be CBN, CBG, CBDA, CBV, and CBC. Endocannabinoids are the other half of the equation here. Those are the cannabinoids that are produced in your own body. In fact, they're produced in the bodies of all vertebrates. So two of the more popularly known endocannabinoids are anandamide and 2,8-G. And anandamide is popularly known as the molecule that gives you that sensation of having a runner's high after you work out. What's really cool about cannabinoids in general is that the plant-based compounds almost mirror exactly what your body produces. So this means that your body and the hemp plant are naturally creating compounds that are built to work together. How exactly do they work together, though? Well, the answer to that lies in the endocannabinoid system. Since the endocannabinoid system was discovered back in the 1990s, researchers have determined that The endocannabinoid system's primary function in the body is to help maintain homeostasis or balance. And in order to do that, it uses a system of receptors, the CB1 and CB2 receptors, along with messenger molecules for those receptors to communicate. Those would be the endocannabinoids. However, this system is unfortunately very susceptible to damage via stress. In particular, when stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline are released in our bodies, they can actually increase the rate at which your endocannabinoids are being broken down. And ultimately, that can result in your body potentially falling out of balance. What's great though is that phytocannabinoid therapy can be used to help support this endocannabinoid system in at least two different ways. One way is by directly binding to these CB1 and CB2 receptors, whereas the other way is by indirectly slowing the breakdown of endocannabinoids. Ultimately, both of these different mechanisms may help nudge your body back toward balance. So now that we know a little bit more about where CBD comes from and how it works, I want to get started talking about the products that we offer. But first, as I mentioned earlier, I want to tell you a little bit about what makes EQ so different among the vast CBD marketplace. First and foremost, we do have a partner farm located outside of Boulder, Colorado, where we have worked with seed geneticists and other scientists to breed a proprietary strain of hemp, high potency CBD. This also means that the same source material is going to be used in your products year after year, harvest after harvest. We can guarantee that they will be consistent in quality over time. Additionally, the farm that we partnered with uses organic farming practices to ensure that there are no heavy metal solvents, pesticides, and other environmental toxins in the soil that the hemp is grown in. And that's really important because hemp is considered a phytoremediator, which means it has the ability to soak up a lot of those toxins from the soil without affecting the integrity of the plant. So in order to make sure that none of those toxins wind up in your final products, you do want to select a brand that is using those organic farming practices for their hemp. Another thing that our farm does is actually hand harvest all of our hemp source material, and that's important for two reasons. The first reason being that the majority of the therapeutic compounds of the hemp plant are located in what's called the trichomes. If any of you have ever seen an up-close photo of hemp or cannabis, THC-Dominant cannabis, and notice that it looks like there's a bit of a fine powder on it. Those are the trichomes, and they are delicately attached. So in order to make sure that all of that high potency CBD is getting into the final product, we want to make sure that we are not knocking those trichomes off, which hand harvesting allows us to do. Additionally, the other parts of the hemp plant, the seeds, stems, and leaves, are not super high potency in those therapeutic compounds. So by hand harvesting, we can ensure that those other parts of the hemp plant do not wind up in the final product, which would ultimately reduce the potency. One of the most important things you can look for in a CBD brand is third-party lab testing. While we do rigorous testing along the entire production process, these third-party lab results are there to confirm that our findings and our claims are accurate. They are located on every single product page on the website, along with in the FAQ center, which you can always find by going to Learn and then FAQs on our site. Finally, here at Equilibria, we believe in giving you products that only have the necessary ingredients to ensure that your products will be efficacious, and in the case of our flavored products, delicious. This means that not only are our products 100% gluten-free, but the majority of them are also top 8 allergen-free. The only one with top 8 allergens will be the daily treatment oil, and that has sweet almond oil in it. So if you do have a nut allergy, we would recommend not trying that product. So getting right into our products now, the first one I want to talk about today is the daily soft gels. Now, as you can see, these daily soft gels come in both a 10 milligram regular strength and a 25 milligram extra strength. But Whenever someone starts with our CBD, we do recommend going with that regular strength product because the goal really is to find the lowest dose that's giving you those therapeutic effects. So the daily soft gels are swallowed whole and processed through the digestive system, which means that inevitably we will lose some of that CBD to digestive enzymes. However, pairing the soft gels with a healthy fat, so something like nut butter, avocado, full fat dairy, can actually significantly increase the amount of CBD you absorb, which is otherwise called bioavailability. Bioavailability is the percentage of the total dose of CBD that your body can absorb and use. Typically, our members do report that the soft gels are a little bit more subtle or background in nature. They usually have an onset of about 1 to 3 hours, with effects lasting an average of 6 to 8 hours. If you are someone struggling with a high baseline of stress, maybe you're having a tough time sleeping through the night, or potentially even need some support for chronic discomfort, the soft gels may be a really great option for you. However, you might want to consider something else if you are vegan or vegetarian, as these do contain beef gelatin in the capsule formulation. If you do have a history of being sensitive to digesting oils, these may not be the right fit for you because they are an oil-filled capsule. And finally, if you struggle to swallow pills, we would recommend trying something else first. So moving right along to our daily drops. These two come in both a regular and an extra strength formula, the regular strength formula being 10 milligrams per full dropper, and the extra strength formula being 50 milligrams per full dropper. Again, whenever you are starting with full spectrum CBD, we do recommend going with that regular strength formula. It's always easier to add more than take away once you've had it. When taking similar doses of the daily drops compared to the soft gels, a lot of our members do find them to be a bit harder hitting and faster acting. They typically kick in about 15 to 30 minutes after you take them, with effects lasting an average of 4 to 6 hours. Not only can the daily drops be used as part of your daily consistent routine, but they can also be a really great option for as needed support. They can be a really wonderful way to integrate CBD into your morning routine if you are an intermittent faster. These are also both vegan and vegetarian, along with offering dynamic dosing options. That just means that we can easily adjust the dose with these daily drops. Each one of the pipettes, as you can see here, is marked so that you can easily measure your doses in increments of quarter droppers. However, if you are very sensitive to earthy flavors, you're not really a fan of the texture of oil, or you've tried sublingual tinctures in the past and haven't necessarily liked them, we would recommend trying something else to begin with. Next, this is the product I am most excited to talk to you about, our new daily gummies. Some of you might be getting them in the mail soon if you ordered last week. Others of you, this might be the first time you're hearing about them, but we are so excited to finally enter the world of CBD gummies. Before I talk more about how these gummies work and how they compare to the other products, I did want to point out a couple important differences between our gummies and other CBD gummies available on the market. So we will go back and revisit this first point: hand-harvested full-spectrum CBD versus mechanically harvested isolate CBD. But starting here on the second one, our production team decided to use a pectin gelling agent for this product rather than beef gelatin. So these will be safe for all of our vegan and vegetarian members, unlike a lot of other gummies on the market who do use that animal-derived gelatin for the gelling agent. Additionally, we chose to make an infused gummy, which means that the CBD that you know and love is already inside the gummy that you have, spread throughout the entirety of it. Other companies will choose to create the gummy base and then spray the CBD on top of it, which means that typically sprayed gummies are going to be a bit less consistent in terms of dose, as well as oftentimes a bit lower quality. Whereas with an infused gummy, it's going to be a bit higher quality and offer that more consistent dosing. Additionally, all of the flavors and color sources that we use are naturally sourced, organically sourced. There are no artificial colors or flavors in here. For the daily gummies in particular, we use pineapple, dragon fruit for the flavor, and then sweet potato and carrots for the color. On that note, because our flavors and our colors are naturally sourced, they will vary a bit over time. So if you do notice that maybe the color of your gummies is different from bottle to bottle, do not be alarmed. That is totally normal and expected. However, we still know that you are getting that consistent high quality CBD in every jar. Finally, as we touched on earlier, all of our gummies are third-party lab tested. Those results are available on our website, whereas not every company chooses to do that. So going back to this first point here, hand-harvested full spectrum CBD versus mechanically harvested isolate CBD. As we already went over, hand harvesting allows us to protect the therapeutic compounds of the hemp plant and make sure that the parts of the plant that aren't high in those therapeutic compounds are not included in the final product. However, when you mechanically harvest hemp, it is a little bit rougher on the plant, so you run the risk of knocking some of those trichomes off, therefore reducing the potency of the final product. And it also isn't as selective about taking out the stems, seeds, and leaves. Full spectrum versus isolate is a little bit more advanced here, so I made its own slide. Different CBD companies will choose to create products with different base formulations, but across the industry, there are three main types of CBD products. Isolate CBD is exactly as the name sounds. It is CBD all alone. That is represented here on the left side of the screen. Full spectrum CBD, as you can see over on the right side of the screen, not only has a lot of these other cannabinoids in it, but it does have THC, which plays an important role in maximizing the efficacy of your CBD, as well as a lot of terpenes, which are the essential oils of the hemp plant and also have their own therapeutic properties. When you take a quote unquote full plant formula, when you have these cannabinoids and terpenes included in the CBD product, they work together synergistically to amplify the properties of one another and ultimately maximize the efficacy of your CBD at the lowest doses. THC in particular plays an important role as it can help direct CBD to the correct places in your body. Broad spectrum CBD is the middle ground here. Unlike isolate CBD, it does have a lot of those other cannabinoids and terpenes, but the big difference between broad spectrum CBD and full spectrum CBD will be that broad spectrum CBD does not have THC. Again, when it comes to dosing, we do typically see the lowest doses among full spectrum CBD users, mid-range doses among broad spectrum CBD users, and the highest doses among isolate CBD users. To give a little bit of perspective, on average, our members are taking anywhere between 20 and 50 milligrams of CBD a day, whereas doses of isolate CBD can be in the hundreds, if not thousands of milligrams of CBD per day. So back from our quick detour to talk about the daily gummies. These really are going to be that happy medium between the daily soft gels and the daily drops. They are chewed thoroughly before swallowing, which means that some of the CBD will start to absorb through the glands in your mouth, and some subtle effects will start to kick in about 30 minutes to an hour. But like the soft gels, the remainder of that CBD will be processed through the digestive system, which means that it'll last a little bit longer for an average of about 4 to 8 hours. The daily gummies can be a really great option for somebody struggling with a high baseline of stress, members who are struggling to swallow pills. These also can be used for dynamic dosing. You do not need to take a full gummy at the same time. You can always break it down into quarters or halves. And they, again, are both vegan and vegetarian. However, we ask that you maybe consider starting somewhere else if you are sensitive to small amounts of sugar. Each serving does have 2 grams of sugar in it. Or if you have a sensitivity to any of the ingredients listed, of course, or the ingredients used for our natural flavoring and coloring, which would be, again, pineapple, dragon fruit, carrots, and sweet potatoes. So this is the last of our ingestible products and the only of our ingestible products that is not meant for everyday use. Bioavailability is where the rapid calming melts really shine. Just to quickly review, bioavailability is the total amount of CBD your body can absorb and use from the dose that you took. While oil-based products typically have a bioavailability of around 10 to 40%, we partnered with a biotech firm who took a pharmaceutical approach to product design to create a product that will allow you to absorb up to 95% of that CBD. To do this, this company employed both microparticle and mucosal binding technology. Because you can absorb so much of this CBD at once, a lot of our members find that these rapid calming melts are fast acting and do pack a bit of a powerful punch. They're placed under your tongue. Make sure not to crush, chew, or swallow them. But as they absorb, they will start to kick in about 5 to 10 minutes, with effects lasting an average of 3 to 6 hours. These rapid calming melts are really going to be great for members who need some as-needed support for high spikes of stress during moments of overwhelm. They're also oil-free, sugar-free, vegan, vegetarian, and really just an awesome option if you are looking for discrete dosing on the go. However, if you are particularly sensitive to CBD, you don't really love the texture of a sublingual tablet, or you're not really a fan of mint, we would recommend starting with something else. They do have a slight minty fresh flavor that it leaves behind in your mouth. So moving right along into our topical products. The Relief Balm is the first one I'm going to cover right now, and my apologies, the cat's very excited about this. But the Relief Balm has not only 500 milligrams of full spectrum CBD, but it also has arnica and menthol, which all together make a really great combination for addressing discomfort. Along with those ingredients, it also has lavender and rosemary essential oils, which can help give that extra dose of aromatherapy relaxation. As I mentioned before, the Relief Balm can be really awesome for chronic discomfort, but it can also be something great to have on hand if you're somebody that maybe works out a lot or has a physically demanding job and you have some sore muscles or achy joints. If you have any areas of topical skin irritation, you could always give the Relief Balm a try on it. However, because it has that menthol, we would recommend doing just a small patch test on the inside of your elbow before applying it to any sensitive areas. And then finally, one of the most popular uses of the Relief Balm is on the abdomen and lower back to help with some of the discomfort associated with menstrual cramping. Next up, we have our Dynamic Roller Duo, which has 75 milligrams of CBD per roller. And this is going to come in two separate scents, the energizing roller and the calming roller. These are going to be a really great option for those of you who are interested in combining CBD and aromatherapy. Maybe you have some small targeted areas of discomfort or really like applying essential oils to your pressure points. It can also be used on small areas of topical skin irritation, such as bug bites. So next up here is our daily treatment oil. And this is our first venture into CBD skincare. And if I do say so myself, we really hit the nail on the head. Not only does this have that 500 milligrams of full spectrum CBD, it has a blend of 7 other botanical oils that are really meant to help dehydrated skin, target pigmentation, help balance sebum production, promote a healthy skin antioxidant barrier, and improve elasticity. The daily treatment oil is meant to be used on a daily, consistent basis, but you have a lot of freedom to determine how it's best used for your skin. One of my personal favorite uses is mixing it into my nightly moisturizer. Over the winter, I'll use it as an oil itself on my skin, and I typically do mix it into my moisturizer after shaving my legs as well. So for the last two products that we'll go over today, the bath products. First one here is the Balanced Bath Bombs. These are going to be the product for you if you want that really beautiful, Instagram-worthy bathing experience. They're bubbly, they're glittery, they are just such a fun way to relax at the end of the day. Each box comes with 4 bath bombs, 2 lavender lemongrass, 2 cardamom rose, each boasting 50 milligrams of full spectrum CBD each. The mindful mineral soak is going to be what you want to reach for if you're really looking to address some of that discomfort, help relieve tension. This has 200 milligrams of CBD per full bag, which is enough for 4 50 milligram baths. It has a dendritic sea salt base along with over 30 minerals and jasmine and gardenia essential oils for that really, truly ultimate rest relaxation experience. So now we're going to get into, so what with these products? What do I do with them once I have them? Well, the first thing you're going to do is set up your routine. And in order to do that, we want to make sure that you're set for success from the get-go. When first getting started, the absolute first thing we need to do is identify what type of support you need. What are your health goals? How do they present throughout your day? That will help us both pick your products and customize your baseline routine. From there, we'll go over some helpful tricks for understanding and tracking your progress. And then finally, talk about how to give yourself some additional as needed support. While this may sound daunting, you are never alone here at Equilibria. If you are just getting started and you're really not sure what to begin with, you are always welcome to take our Get Started quiz located on the homepage of our website. That will walk you through identifying your health goals and ultimately help recommend some products. The Dosage support team is also always available via email, whether you've made a purchase with us or not. And finally, once you have made a purchase with us, all of our members have the opportunity to book their complimentary one-on-one dosage consultation. So getting started with step 1, identify where you need support. The first part of this is going to be identifying your health goals. What are you looking to address with a CBD routine? Some of the more popular health goals among our members are managing stress and mood, some sleep support, increased energy or focus, along with chronic discomfort. However, I want to point out that what you see here is not underlying medical conditions. We don't have anxiety as a health goal. And that's because at this time, we are not using CBD to treat underlying conditions, but rather we can use it to help address these symptoms of conditions by amplifying your body's own natural balancing and healing properties, your endocannabinoid system. So once you've identified what you're looking to address with CBD, it's time to take a look at your own life and how those different things present throughout the day. A couple examples here. If you are looking to address stress with CBD, are you stressed more, say, in the morning or in the afternoon? Does your discomfort peak at a specific time of day, or is it always a consistent baseline? With sleep, distinguishing between falling asleep, staying asleep, or both can be really helpful. Additionally, with things like energy or focus, is there any point of the day that it's really good? Is there any point of the day that you find it dips? And then finally, identifying when you typically eat meals will ultimately help us figure out not only which products that you should use, but also which products or when to place those products in your day. So to get more in depth with this, I wanted to give an example of a member. Today we'll be working with Caitlin H. She is 31 years old, and she's looking to manage both morning and evening stress, along with increase some energy and focus. So moving over to Caitlin's lifestyle. She is a part-time retail associate who works 3 days a week. On top of that, she has 2 toddlers, very energetic at home. So her mornings tend to be a little bit hectic, as well as those witching hours. So the dinner, bath time, bedtime. And then when she is at work, because she's, so hectic throughout the rest of her day, it can be difficult for her to maintain her energy and focus. When it comes to eating, Caitlin will consistently eat breakfast and dinner. And throughout the day, she doesn't necessarily eat lunch, but she will consistently snack. So now it's time to pick out some products for Caitlin. We're going to do this by process of elimination. Since she needs immediate support in the morning, that's going to mean that the daily Softgels and the daily Gummies aren't going to be the best option at that point. Again, because the rapid calming melts are not meant for daily use, that leaves us with the daily drops. These are fast acting and they'll get into her system early enough that she can support their family on their way out the door. And then for the rest of the day, some days she does need that additional support for energy and focus when she's working. Other days, it really just does come down to those really stressful witching hours. So since she is consistently eating in the middle of the day, small snacks, we can have her pair a daily soft gel with the snacks because they do offer that more extended support. So putting this all together, we're gonna have Caitlin start with one full dropper of the daily drops to start her day off. That is our normal recommended starting dose. Of course, once you've gotten the hang of taking your products, you can always adjust that accordingly. The dosage support team will be here to help you with that as well. Then in the afternoon, we'll pair one of those daily soft gels with a midday snack, get her that support throughout the afternoon into the early and mid-evening. So this brings us to step 4, understanding and tracking your progress. This is arguably one of the most important parts of a CBD routine. And that's because everybody's body chemistry is different. So there isn't a one size fits all dose or routine that works across the board. Along the way, we are looking for small, subtle, incremental improvements because our bodies do need some time to adjust to CBD. If you don't notice effects right away, don't be alarmed. That is totally normal. We'll either recommend giving the routine a little bit more time or potentially recommend a dosage adjustment. However, we do like to see those early results in the first month, but our members typically report their best results around 3 months into following a daily, consistent, customized routine. Which brings me to my next point. Anytime you make a change to the routine, or if you're new, starting the routine, we ask that you give it a good 5 to 7 days before making another change. This will be enough time for us to really see if this new routine is heading in the right direction or if we need to make another adjustment. Next, one of the most popular questions we get is, how do I know if I'm taking too much? While the World Health Organization did publish a safety report that states you cannot overdose on CBD, more CBD is not always better. It has what we call a biphasic effect, which means that too little or too much could be ineffective. And many of our members do actually report feeling the opposite of the desired effect when they take more CBD than their body needs at a given time. So if you do ever say get a little bit tired during the day, more energized at night, or feel more on edge at any point, don't be discouraged, drink lots of water, and that's a good indication that we should decrease the dose the next time you take it. Finally, as we already went over, different absorption methods can lead to slightly different effects in the body. So if one modality isn't quite right for you, that doesn't mean that CBD is going to be a bad fit. It might just mean that a different modality will be a better fit. We ask that you don't give up, and we'll be here to help guide those adjustments and give those product recommendations. On that note, the dosage support team is composed of cannabis educators, not salesmen. We do not make commission. So any recommendations that we give are truly meant to help maximize the efficacy of your CBD journey. Daily journaling is the best way to track any changes, positive or otherwise, when you're adjusting the routine. At its most basic, journaling can look like just writing down the dose you took and the product you took, the time you took it, and then how you felt before and after. But if you want to get a little bit more advanced, fancy with it, you could always write down some other things, such as how the new dose that you took compared to an old dose, or if you're a beginner, how these new doses are feeling compared to having no CBD at all. You could also write down things like the reaction details, such as how long it takes for the CBD to kick in and how long you felt those effects for. So, step 5 is giving yourself that as needed support when you feel like you could use some more. The two products that are best to do this with would be the daily drops and the rapid calming melts. Again, because those daily drops kick in quickly, you can always reach for, say, an extra quarter, half, or full dropper throughout the day if something stressful comes up. We call these episodic doses, and they can be a really good fit for people struggling with smaller spikes of stress. Maybe you need an energy or focus boost, or even if you have a difficult time falling back asleep, if you find yourself awake overnight. The rapid calming melts, again, kick in quickly and pretty hard. So we ask that you reserve these for high spikes of stress or moments of overwhelm. Some pro tips to keep in mind when you are thinking about increasing your dose. We always recommend trying it first on a day when you can monitor your response. It's something new. We want to make sure that you are somewhere comfortable, that you can see how you responded before deciding what you're going to do the next time. Additionally, your dose is quite related to your stress level at any given time. So that means on higher stress days, or even just in higher stress moments, you may need to increase your dose a little bit. But conversely, as your stress levels decrease, you may actually find that you can decrease your dose accordingly as well. Back to journaling for a second. Anytime you try to change your dose, we ask that you just quickly write down some notes. That way we can figure out which doses are working best in different scenarios. Finally, CBD is a potent plant product that may contribute to dehydration. So especially as you consider adding more to your daily routine, we ask that you just keep hydration in mind. So going back to Caitlin here, as you can see, the base of her routine is relatively the same. We have that full dropper in the morning and a daily soft gel with a midday snack. However, after Caitlin gave this a try for 5 to 7 days, she said, this works most of the time, but occasionally my kids throw a temper tantrum and I really do need a little bit more. In this case, since she already has the daily drops, my first recommendation would be trying some of those episodic doses. But beyond that, if she'd like to try something new, the rapid calming melts could be a great fit as well. So now I want to go into a slightly more complicated health goals here. Our new member, Marcia S. Marcia is 57 years old. She's looking for some help managing stress throughout the workday. She also has some chronic back discomfort following a car accident a few years ago, and she has both a difficult time falling and staying asleep. So taking a deeper look at Marcia's lifestyle and those patterns that she notices. She is a teacher, which means that she does not have the opportunity to reach for multiple doses throughout the day. She also finds that her discomfort builds as the day goes on, which makes it difficult to both fall and stay asleep. On top of that, Marcia is postmenopausal, and she is still experiencing those hot flashes, which wake her up, hard to get back to sleep when she is awakened. And finally, Marcia is an intermittent faster. She does not feel comfortable having a meal before lunch. So with all of that in mind, again, we're going to go through some process elimination to pick Marcia's products. Since she doesn't eat until noon, we know that a daily soft gel is not going to be an option for her. Additionally, she needs support that's both going to kick in relatively quickly and last for the entire school day. Because the daily drops have that average effects of about 4 to 6 hours, those might not be the best fit for her, which then leaves us with the daily gummies. She is totally fine having that gummy first thing in the morning. She's gonna wanna take it before the day starts and then have those effects lasting throughout the entire school day. Our goal here would also be to have that help address some of the discomfort before it starts building throughout the day. Additionally, Marcia said she needs help both falling and staying asleep. With the falling asleep aspect of this, most of our members do prefer to have one of those fast-acting products to help them wind down and relax at night. Because the daily drops are the fast-acting product meant for daily use, we could use some of those daily drops before bed to help her wind down. And then the daily soft gels, because they do have that longer release, about 6 to 8 hours, we can then use that for overnight support. So putting this all together, Marcia's routine will look like the following. Starting her day off with that daily gummy right before the start of the workday. So it's starting to kick in around the time the kids get into her classroom and will last with her throughout the workday. Then we'll pair that daily soft gel with dinner so she doesn't have to worry about adding in an extra healthy fat. This will also help the timing at night. If you take it around 1 to 3 hours before bed, it should kick in around the time you're going to sleep and then release through the overnight period. Finally, to finish off her day, we're going to start with 1 full dropper of the daily drops before bed, again, just to help assist in that wind down period. So even though we walked through a couple examples there, I'm sure this can still be very overwhelming. So I want to again reiterate that you are never alone along your CBD journey with Equilibria. A couple of the resources on our website include the blog here. On our blog, we do post a number of articles consistently, very frequently, about a lot of different things in the CBD world, including CBD basics, examples listed below, along with health goal specific pieces about the EQ experience, and also some articles on how to troubleshoot when you're not feeling that your routine is headed in the right direction. Additionally, we do have the Member Support Center available on our website. You can find that by going to Learn and then FAQs. Here, all you need to do is type in a couple of keywords, the keywords that you want to search, and a number of different articles will pop up. Please feel free to peruse this at your convenience. Finally, again, I want to reiterate that the Dosage support team is here for you always. We are a group of cannabis educators with a wide variety of backgrounds in the cannabis field, including biology and biomedical engineering, environmental sciences, dispensary and healthcare management, lifestyle and fitness coaches, communication specialists, cannabis and terpene studies certifications, along with a pharmacy team that is here to help provide further education around any potential interactions between CBD and your medications. Our job here is to provide personalized education and support throughout your CBD journey. As I mentioned earlier, before you make a purchase with us, we are available via email and on some days also via the chat feature on our website. And then post-purchase, you also have email and chat, along with the opportunity to connect one-on-one with a dosage specialist on the phone through booking your dosage consultation. I also do want to give a quick shout out to our member support team, who is always available via chat and email to answer any questions you have related to the website, account management, orders, shipping, etc. So before we jump into FAQs, I do want to open the floor and get some of your questions answered while we're all here together. So going to give Amanda back the mic.
All right. Thank you so much, Sydney. That was great. Loved the journaling part. That was fantastic. All right, we have an anonymous person who has asked, if you are taking ADHD meds, is it fine to take Equilibria soft gels in addition? Like, can you take them at the same time, or do you suggest taking soft gels on their own?
So thank you for bringing up a medication question. If you do have questions about any medications, we ask that you please shoot us an email at dosage@myeq.com. CBD and medications, some medications can interact with CBD, and while we cannot provide any medical advice, we do want to encourage the safe and informed use of CBD. So if you do have questions about medications, please feel free to email us. We will happily get back to you as soon as possible.
Yes, thank you so much. If anyone else has any questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. It's at the bottom of your screen. It has like 2 little text looking icons on it. Zoe did send us a message through the chat feature, which we'll go ahead and take. Zoe says, I've been taking my daily capsules first thing in the morning. Is that a waste?
So I wouldn't necessarily call it a waste. With an oil-based product like the CBD, like the soft gels, it does contain some of that MCT oil in it already. So it's not that you're absorbing nothing. It's just that your body will be able to absorb more of that CBD when you pair it with an additional healthy fat. So something like nut butter, avocado, full fat dairy, different seeds all have that healthy fat in them. So if you've been taking the soft gel on an empty stomach, I would recommend pushing it back a little bit in your day so that you can pair it with food. But if you're not eating in the morning typically, and you do need some of that CBD support, if you only have soft gels on hand, I have some good news for you. The oil within the soft gels is essentially the same as the daily drops. The big difference is going to be that the soft gels are a half a milliliter of liquid for the full 10 milligrams, whereas the drop is 1 full milliliter per 10 milligrams. So if you'd like, you can always try, do a trial run of the daily drops by poking a hole in the, bear with me, pointy end of your soft gel, squeezing some of that oil under your tongue, letting it sit there for at least 60 seconds or until all of the oil has absorbed.
Does it have a stronger flavor when you do that than it does when you just take the daily drops tincture, Sydney?
I can only speak from personal experience. I don't find that they're very different. I would say that it's very similar to the unflavored daily drops rather than the mint daily drops because they do not have any mint in them. But I do think that they're very comparable in terms of the flavor.
Thanks. We have some more questions that have come in. Tanya asks, is it normal to have a dry throat after taking the daily drops?
So yes, it is very normal to experience dry throat, dry mouth with any cannabis product, whether it is hemp or THC-dominant cannabis. However, if this is something that you're experiencing, we recommend increasing your water intake as much as possible. And it does tend to go away within a couple weeks. So increase your water intake, give it some time. You also might want to try chilling your drops. That tends to make the oil a little bit less flavorful, which also a lot of our members find can help with that.
Do you think she might be talking about having a scratchy throat, which is from the
Yes. So if it's scratchy rather than, just dry, that could be an indication that you have a terpene sensitivity. So as we talked about earlier, terpenes are the essential oils of plants. They are present in hemp. They are present in many other plants, including plants like black pepper. Beta caryophyllene is that terpene, that the main terpene in black pepper. And sometimes when you swallow black pepper, it can make your throat a little bit itchy. It's the same type of phenomenon with the CBD. Ours does have some beta caryophyllene in it. If you are experiencing a bit of an itchy throat, we recommend 2 different things: storing your daily drops in the refrigerator, as that can help reduce that itchiness, and trying smaller doses at a time. Typically, members do only report that their throat gets a little bit itchy when they're swallowing a lot of the oil. And the goal, again, really is to absorb as much of that oil as possible under your tongue. So if you take smaller doses at a time, say breaking a full dropper down into 2 back-to-back half dropper doses, that can not only make it a little bit easier to absorb, but it also means that you won't be swallowing as much, so it won't be touching the back of your throat as much.
All right. We have an anonymous question. Can you describe how we should feel when it kicks in? That's in air quotes.
That is a really great question. And when it comes to CBD, it's just as much about what you don't feel versus what you feel. So what I mean by that, imagine you have a stressful standing meeting, 2 p.m. every Thursday. You have a meeting that you absolutely dread. Your heart rate speeds up. You're really stressed heading into this every week. When you first start a CBD routine, you may not notice any difference in how you've reacted to that meeting. However, what we ask that you look out for is how your reaction not necessarily to the CBD, but to the meeting changes over time. Did you notice that you weren't as stressed leading into it? Did a coworker or family member notice that you weren't as stressed leading up to this meeting? That's what we mean by looking out for the things that you don't necessarily feel. When it comes to feeling a dose, a lot of our members do describe it as just feeling more balanced, more even, more calm with some of those more subtle products like these Softgels and the daily gummies. Whereas with the rapid calming melts and the daily drops, a lot of our members will say that it is more, say, relaxing. They feel like they can take a deep breath in and fully let it go.
Awesome, thank you. Amy asks, can you use the daily treatment oil on your lips?
Yes, you can use the daily treatment oil on your lips. But again, just keep in mind that that does have the sweet almond oil in it. So especially if you are allergic to nuts, we would not recommend putting that on your lips.
It does have a tiny bit of fragrance in it too, if that's something that
Yes.
you don't like to have on your lips. I actually use our daily drops on my lips, and I love the sensation of those. Zoe says, I can speak to that last one. I used to get so nervous to interview candidates when hiring, and now whenever I do, I'm totally fine. Sometimes I add in the rapid calming melts too.
The rapid calming melts are really wonderful for those things. In fact, I took half of one before I jumped on here with all of you.
Same. And I've got some interviews coming up, so also going to be hitting those. All right, everyone, that's all the questions that were in the Q&A box. If anyone has any other questions, please feel free to add those into the Q&A box. We do have about 7 more minutes left. Maybe Sydney, if you want to go over a couple of FAQs.
Yeah, let's do it. So I know you're not asking them, but I bet some of these are in your mind. Let's get right into these FAQs. One of the most common questions we get asked is, are our products safe for men? Absolutely. At this time, all of our products are 100% safe for all genders and sexes. However, in the future, you can be on the lookout for more women-specific products coming 2022, so right around the corner. Next one, another big question, obviously, that we get being a by women for women company is, can I take this while pregnant, breastfeeding, trying to conceive? And the reality of it is, at this time, there is not enough research for us to be able to confidently advise one way or another. Ultimately, it does have to come down to a decision between you and your licensed healthcare provider, but whatever you decide to do, we will be here to support you throughout the process. Next up here, I myself am a coffee lover, so wanted to bring this one up. Can I have coffee and CBD? Yes, not only do I love it, a lot of women on the Dosage support team love pairing their morning coffee with CBD. Pro tip here, pairing our daily drops with coffee can sometimes help reduce caffeine jitters. We recommend taking your dose first and then enjoying your caffeinated drink. However, as I mentioned earlier, full spectrum CBD may contribute to dehydration. Caffeine, we know for a fact, does contribute to dehydration. So if you're going to be using both together, we suggest increasing your water intake as well. Next up here, we have, can I take CBD and have some alcohol? Generally, CBD and alcohol combined in moderation is safe. However, CBD is metabolized in your liver, which means it can affect how your liver processes alcohol. So just please proceed with caution and reach out to your healthcare provider if you have any further questions. We also recommend that if it's going to be a bigger drinking night, such as a birthday party, bachelorette party, meeting up with friends for the first time in a while, that maybe you can use your doses the next day for recovery. And then finally, kind of revisiting that question from earlier, how should I feel? It's all about what you don't feel. We are looking for those small, subtle, incremental improvements. I will leave these questions up on the screen for you all to take a look through. If you're ever having a difficult time discerning whether or not your CBD routine is helping, please, again, always feel free to reach out to the Dosage support team. We are here not only to answer your questions, but to ask the questions that can sometimes be a little bit trickier to answer and help you figure out what's working and what's not.
We did have one person comment in the chat. Janelle wanted to give a personal experience. I wanted to comment that my dental hygienist tells me that my gums are healthier, not as much inflammation, and the only thing I have done differently is adding CBD to my routine. I thought that was so interesting.
That is absolutely fascinating. And I think you said Janine? Janelle. Sorry, Janelle. Well, Janelle, I would be fascinated to read a little bit more about your experience with CBD and your gums. So if you have an opportunity, I highly encourage you to fill out a MyEQ #MyEQ story. Amanda can speak more to how you do that, but basically what you do is share your experience with us. And if we use it in our social media, you'll be granted a $20 store credit.
You can do that by going to our website. I believe it's also in the Learn section. There's a thing that just says MyEQ, and you can submit your story there. It's all very self-explanatory. All right, well, that is all of our questions, and we are pretty much right at time. So thank you so much, Sydney. This was fantastic.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody that attended. We, again, are so excited to hear from all of you. You can always email in to dosage@myeq.com. If you need to reach out to our member support team, that is info@myeq.com. We are available via chat, via email. Book your dosage consultation if you've made a purchase with us and haven't done that already. Welcome to the Equilibria community if you are very brand new here.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Have a great night, everyone.